Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about the latest launch in la Matière from Guerlain, which is tobacco honey. And if in this video I will call it anything else, I apologize in advance. I must say this name that they came up with, tobacco honey, it isn't the most appropriate thing maybe they could have come up with, but that's their choice. So tobacco honey, I am very curious how this smells. I don't know anything about this fragrance other than it's supposed to be this tobacco leaf and honey smell, so I'm expecting a dry amber. Maybe, I don't know. These are my hopes at least, but I want to smell it nevertheless because I do like the smell of honey, and I do like the way Guerlain make the smell of honey in fragrances, because I think the most honey smell that they have is Mon Précieux Nectar, and that one is just, it is perfect. It's perfection. It's a very good honey. Now I'm getting whiffs of this. It's quite a powerful scent, and it is very not what I was expecting. So the honey is there. It's a very delicate honey. It's definitely honey. It's not an impression of honey, but it is very delicate, and for some reason I think I mean I do love what I'm smelling. I do love it, but for some reason it reminds me of something from the line of L'Omidal for some reason. And I'm guessing that's the tobacco, because the tobacco is very faint. It's not something very overt, but it is there. And the whole fragrance kind of takes a turn for everything sweet now. But it is gorgeous. It is becoming this honeyed thing that's getting drier and drier to my nose. It is exquisite. You know, I was looking for a type of austere amber, and I wouldn't call this austere, but I'm glad that it's, you know, dry enough to make it interesting. But there are so many things happening in this fragrance all at once. It reminds me of so many other things from Guerlain. But mostly because it doesn't, I was expecting maybe for it to remind me of Tonka Imperial, because in La Matière that's the only other fragrance, as far as I know, that's very heavy on the tobacco. But it doesn't. This is pure, so the name says it all. And I guess, well, when I smell this, I guess it's aptly named now. Just the name sounds so silly. Tobacco honey. You know, you're French, come up with something, French it up. You know, French it up a bit. Tobacco honey. I don't like it because it's the name is very similar to tobacco vanille, and the banter I saw online was, of course, is this going to be the, because whenever you say Guerlain you say vanilla, right? So people were asking, is this going to be the next tobacco vanille? And it's quite silly, but it's not, thankfully. It doesn't smell close to tobacco vanille. It smells close to L'Omidal, which isn't a bad thing at all, because it's a very rich, this honey is very rich, it's luxurious, it's not at all austere, it's dry, but this makes it very elegant and very it kind of is unique, because it's, I mean, compared to zoologist bee, which is hyper realistic honey, and it is gorgeous, but that honey is very, very different. I call it almost claustrophobic honey, because it's so sticky and so much. It's over the top honey. Very nice. I would wear the hell out of it. Stay tuned for that review, by the way. This one is very Guerlain. Definitely belongs to the house. Definitely. So let's see what they have to say about tobacco honey. Touched by honey, tobacco turns to gold. Yes, yes, it does. It is a very golden type of smell. Tobacco is olfactively expressed in the form of an accord. Guerlain perfumer Delphine Jacques has created this accord by combining various raw materials carefully selected to replicate the evocative power of tobacco with its profound, captivating tones. Tobacco honey shines a light on the woodiest, most honeyed hues of this richly faceted accord. Need to test this as well on the skin, because this is a new la Matière, and on the skin it is so different. Yes, it's very different. The initial spray is pure sour tobacco leaf, and it is not at all like anything I've ever smelled. So for fans of tobacco, yes, very, very interesting. Oh my god, it's so much more interesting on the skin. But the honey doesn't appear quite as fast as on paper, mysteriously. Now let's see what else. Evoking tobacco leaves covered in golden honey. But what this is, I like this. This is very simple. They are talking about the new sculpted, they call it the sculpted golden paper exceptional plate. The plate is something that, as I want to show you this miniature as well, thank you to Place Vendôme. It's a miniature of tobacco honey, and the plate is something that you can exchange on the cap, and it costs extra, of course. They are quite expensive, but on the big bottles, it's something that you can change. So they're talking about this new golden paper plate that's available for all of them, not just for tobacco honey. I don't know. I'm not into those things. I mean, I would be if I could afford them. And that's it. This is all about the art of personalization, and that's it about tobacco honey. Is this all? Okay. The wickedly sensual substance of raw tobacco reveals itself as an accord, unveiling its most beautiful facet when touched by honey. A contrasting olfactory tension is stuck between the golden shade of honey and the intoxicating vibrancy of the tobacco accord. I wanted to mention that on my skin, something very tart and berry-like is poking its head. And this helps to kind of balance everything up. This is much more complex on the skin. Well, of course it is. This is how you're supposed to smell fragrances. A deliciously ambery tobacco accord is enveloped in vanilla. I wouldn't call it necessarily enveloped in vanilla, but that honey, it's ambery without being too overtly vanillic. Tonka bean and sesame, interesting. before being enlivened under the vibrant brightness of heady honey, then heightened by aniseed accord and clove. Because I was expecting that clove note, because when we're talking about cloves, when we're talking about cloves at Guerlain, I think L'Heure Bleue comes to mind. So I was really, really expecting this. And again, I'm not going to smell this on the paper anymore because the skin is just so... It offers so much more. There is that... So that sour note turned musky, and it's turning into that maybe it's almost into the realm of body odor. So it's musky, that's just a little bit dirty, which is again very interesting, and it is something I do search for. And I think in this stage, it reminds me of just a bit of Angel's Dust from Francesca Bianchi. I don't know why, because there's nothing in common with that fragrance except for maybe that musk. Very, very nice. So yeah, a very complex and quite surprising scent. And all the while being this very, very balanced, sweet tobacco honey smell. But there are vegetal notes coming out of this, and I'm not talking exclusively about the tobacco. I'm smelling something a lot greener, a lot fresher than tobacco. It is very resinous as well. It is becoming more and more ambery. And God, it is something that I do see myself wearing and maybe purchasing. Maybe. It is a very good scent. I had zero expectations because of the stupid name. But I love it. I think it's a very good launch. Is it, again, I'm going to have this discussion. Is it arts and materials? Material? I mean, is it worthy to be included into la Matière? Or is it more for something like Les Absolus d'Orient? And I think because of this beautiful honey that they managed to show off in this scent, because this is a very beautiful honey, I think because of that honey, I think it deserves its place into the, the greater collection of exclusives that is La Matière. And it is not at all harsh. It is very smooth. It is a very, very refined, and surprisingly, on my skin, it doesn't remind me of L'Homme at all. But on paper, it still does. That's very, very strange. So honey, aniseed. I wonder. It's not very... It's not bitter. It's sour, dry. I don't feel very much aniseed. Clove, tobacco, tonka, definitely tonka. Vanilla, oud. Oh no. I don't get any oud. I get something that's very dry, into the realm of almost tea. It's like an herbal tea. As I said, very, very smooth and refined and balanced. Sandalwood and sesame. I would like to have felt the sesame a bit more. I don't feel it. Also, there isn't something terribly spicy, with the exception of the spiciness that comes from the tobacco, which is, as again, it's a bit pungent, just a bit pungent, greenish. I would call it sour, right? Because I don't know, there's something about tobacco that kind of makes me want to call it sour more than spicy, if that makes sense. So I think this is a very good launch. I think it's a very good fragrance. I will have to learn more about it, and I will let you know, of course. If you have any other questions, do let me know in the comments. And until next time, remember, fragrance creates memories, and may yours be happy.